Alright, here we go. Another edition of Randall's Rants. Thanks for tuning in. And this will probably, well, most likely not be one of the final posts I do about the 2016 election. Just gathering my thoughts right now as I was watching the election, or the debate last night, the third and final debate. You know, Donald Trump, I'll give it to him. He started off okay. Hillary gave him one jab and he melted down like a 5-year-old who just had his favorite toy taken. Not exactly the type of temperament you want to see from the commander-in-chief. In fact, the only guy that really did stuff like that when he was in office was Richard Nixon. But thankfully, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and everybody realized that when Nixon called you drunk as a skunk and said, bomb North Korea, you didn't take the president's drunken edict to word. But that being said, Donald Trump basically ranked very high on the liar scale, as he has throughout most of the election, and Hillary had a few things in there that weren't exactly true themselves. All of that being said, there is people, some are in Team Trump, some are in Team Hillary. Me, myself, I more than likely will end up writing in Bernie Sanders because I do not look at either one of these candidates as being people that are advertising to have in the Oval Office to lead this country for the next 4 years. In fact, I'm willing to go to the length of saying that based on public perception of these candidates, they probably will be caretaker presidents and probably only in their 4 years. But all that being said, I'm sure some of you people out there have your own opinions. And you know what? Feel free to either respond to this video or type something below as to say why you are Team Trump or why you're on Team Hillary. Just knowing the history of Donald Trump the past 30 years, I mean, including his treatment of women, is enough to turn me away from ever wanting to vote for the guy. Granted, I am a hardcore Democrat. I don't want to say hardcore. I'm kind of what I would call a hybrid. I'm a Democrat, but I'm also that liberal who is in favor of the death penalty. Go figure. All of that being said, I do want to say one thing about some of my past videos. I've been very, shall we say, much the angry young man. I don't think I properly got my point across because I let too much venomous anger get through. This is why I'm trying to make this a little bit more lighthearted. But, the thing is, I think a lot of people are looking at the sizzle and not the steak as far as this election is concerned. I mean, when you look at Trump's wall, for example, do you realize he would have to invoke eminent domain to build that wall? And what eminent domain is, in case you're not aware, the government can seize property, it can seize a building, it can seize something for its own use, but it actually has to prove. They can't just haphazardly say, hey, I want that house. They have to go before a judge and go to court to say, hey, this is why we need this property. Now, for Trump to build his wall, what he's going to have to do, if he's president, is to invoke eminent domain and basically put people out of their homes, businesses out of, put people out of, who are self-proprietors, basically put them out of business and lay people off. And I believe there actually is a cemetery that is not far from the property where Trump would want to build his wall. And guess what? You're going to have to dig up all those dead people and move them somewhere else. So when you look at that, the wall is basically a non-starter because it's something that's never, ever going to happen. But the one thing that has distressed me most about this election, and it has nothing to do with the candidates themselves, it's just I don't find it too appealing how I'm watching my fellow Americans turn on my fellow Americans. You got people that voice their dissent at a Trump rally getting beaten up. I haven't heard anything from Trump supporters showing up to Clinton campaigns. I haven't heard anything about them getting beaten up. And if that's something that's happening, that's something that's just as wrong. Listen, the only way, man, this whole thing works, whether you have faith in the government, whether you have faith in the voting system, whether you have faith in pretty much anything, the way the government works, is we do have to work together. All right? And we can't have this backbiting. We can't have this fighting that's going on. We can't have this trolling that goes on the internet. We can't have this flaming that goes on the internet where people are basically just shredding somebody because they support another candidate versus their own. I mean, I've in the heat of the moment have said things on social media that I turn around to myself and I'm thinking to myself, why did you say that? That just makes you look foolish, or it proves their point for them. So, maybe the divide that has been ripped open over some people not being happy that we had a black president for the past 8 years, maybe that's something we can try to mend. We can try to, get ourselves back to where, I hate to say after 9/11, where basically before 9/11, I think we took ourselves all for granted, and we had a moment of unity after one of the greatest tragedies ever to happen on American soil. Maybe I am, as I like to say, taking a Pollyannic view and hoping that we can all unite after this madness of an election is over. Maybe there's going to be people who have just embraced the hate so much that it feels like an extra appendage, and they're not comfortable without it. Although it'd be kind of weird to see somebody with an extra appendage. I don't know why I used that. Maybe a security blanket. I don't know. I can't think of the actual perfect metaphor I want to use. But listen, no matter how you slice it, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Prohibition Party, Green Party, Libertarian, pro-marijuana party, and working families, and the hundreds of parties that are out there, whatever you think, man, we all got to work together on this. And I think that is something we need to reclaim after this whole madness of the election is over. So that's my piece. I hope you like these a lot better than the videos where I've been overly angry and just going on and just being the angry young man making a video. So like I said, give it a thumbs up. I may have had a YouTube account for a while now, but I'm actually finally getting around to making videos. I actually had somebody message me, call me the Ed Wood of YouTube videos, and I kind of take that as a compliment because I'm a big fan of Ed Wood's work. I said that slowly because I did not want to trip over my own tongue. But just for some of you who don't know, Ed Wood was actually voted the worst film director of all time back in 1979 by Malcolm Medved when he came out with his book about turkeys in Hollywood. And it actually gained Ed Wood a huge cult of followers, and I'm a big Ed Wood fan. So that's why if you consider me the Ed Wood of YouTube videos, I will not take that as an insult. All of that being said, I'm finally going to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. And if you are going to comment below about who you're voting for, who you're supporting in this 2016 election, feel free to do so. And if I do see people with comments that I think are a little too negative, not that I'm trying to censor anybody, but you know what? I want this to be a place where you can say your opinion and not get hate for it. So all that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I will see you next time.